y'all. Welcome to episode 11 of Create This Book by Mariah Elizabeth and Ashleigh Monet. That would be me. As always, the link to the playlist that contains every single Create This Book video can be found in the description. We have 4 prompts to tackle this week, so enough of me talking. Let's jump right in and see what I can create. Okay, first prompt of the week. Create a list of fads. Write, illustrate, or place pictures of anything that is trending at the moment. Now, I know nothing of trends, so let's go ahead and pull up the Pinterest. We'll search "ooted" and see what trendy outfits pop up. Ooh, we got some curvy girls. I love it. Okay, I see we've got a lot of high waistlines going on here. Yep, high waist, high waist. Also seeing a lot of the grunge aesthetic here. Taking me right back to the 90s. And a lot of like chunky shoes. Yeah, big clunkers like the Doc Martens. Also seeing people layer with these oversized shirts and cardigans. Boobs. More high waistlines. All those overalls are cute. High waistlines. Okay, definitely seeing and loving these sheer tights under a skirt with the chunky shoes. Ooh, video. Okay, curvy queen, let's see what you pick. We've got the sheer stockings, the mini skirt, little crop top. What? The docs? And she's layering with an oversized cardigan. Slay queen. Okay, well, I think I've seen all I need to see. Let's get my little trendsetter drawn out. I generally use guidelines to map out my figure before adding the shapes of the body. This looked fine to me when I was drawing it, but watching the footage back now, I definitely made her head too big and her legs too short. We'll blame that tilted angle that happens when you draw on a flat surface. Ooh, I just had an idea, but I'm gonna have to change up the position of her arms and hands. Okay, let's start working on this outfit. I'm going with the mini skirt and the Doc Martens, and I want her to be layering with an oversized flannel shirt. And for her top, let's do a band tee for that grunge aesthetic. I was all over the place with her hair. Looking back at the Pinterest posts, it seems like the 2K styles are still going strong. So I was trying to find that perfect 2K style, experimenting with little butterfly clips. I wasn't loving them though, so I just did sort of soft waves with curtain bangs. And I had a plan to add some chunky highlights when I go through with the color. Okay, so here was my idea. In this hand, I'm gonna give her one of the oh so talked about Stanley cups. All the rage right now. And on this side, a phone representing TikTok. That darn TikTok, not going anywhere soon. Not sure if anyone noticed, I actually deleted mine. Okay, I shortened the shirt. I didn't like it being longer than her skirt. And I just had to add the butterfly clips back in. It was the law. Now on the other side, I wanted to literally add a list of the trends that are pictured here. The grunge aesthetic, chunky shoes, high waistlines, oversized shirts, mini skirts, sheer stockings, 2K hair. Looks like I'm gonna need a longer list here. To make way for the TikTok. Stanley cups. And because I simply could not have 9 items, I needed to round it out till 10. I also noted that I see a lot of oversized glasses these days. So let's add those to the sketch. Time to get her lined. Oh yeah. And now I want to add like corresponding number labels to the drawing, because why not? Time to bust out the alcohol markers and give her some color. Add a few little highlights. And then this list needs to be made to match. Obvi. You know I love matchy-matchy. But that's it for this page. I'm not one for trends, not one for fads. I'm stuck in 2010 and I'm okay with that. But I think this is a fair representation of what's going on out there in fashion. Maybe one day I'll hop on board. Who am I kidding? I will be buried in a hoodie and leggings. And that brings us to the next prompt. Create embarrassment. Capture embarrassment on this page. Now for this one, my idea was a little bit of a stretch, but stay with me, okay? So at the end of winter, this squirrel had become a regular visitor around my house. We have many squirrels around the property, but this one in particular was very easy to recognize because he had no tail. Well, a stump of a tail. So naturally, I started calling him Stumps. Well, it breaks my heart to say I have not seen Stumps in quite some time, long enough to know I won't be seeing him again. But I simply cannot bring myself to imagine him splattered somewhere as roadkill, even though that's more than likely what happened to him. So instead, I've thought up my own explanation for his sudden disappearance. What if the other squirrels with their big bushy tails were spending their time laughing at Stumps, making him feel so embarrassed that his tail just didn't measure up?
All of the other squirrels used to laugh and call him names.
What mean little squirrels they were. Okay, let's use watercolor on this one. I'm feeling particularly painterly in this moment in time. So in my happiest delusion of how this story ends, much like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Stumps, the stump-tailed squirrel, is shamed into leaving his home, resenting how different he is from every other squirrel. But among some other misfits and outcasts, he finds a new home, one where he is accepted and praised for how unique he is. And he is so happy there, he vows never to return to the squirrel clan that treated him so poorly. Now, like I said, I really only saw Stumps at the end of winter, very start of spring, and all of the trees were bare at the time, but that doesn't suit this painting aesthetically. We're going to add lots of lush greenery to the background here.
It's what Stumps would have wanted.
Now to add the details with some colored pencils. I ended up giving Stumps a lonely teardrop coming down. I needed to convey his pain and his embarrassment. I mean, we've all been there. We all know what true embarrassment feels like. I remember the time I fell down the stairs in my prom dress. No one saw it happen because the top of the stairs was behind a wall, and I probably could have played it off as if it hadn't happened at all if it hadn't been for the fact that I lost my purse and shoe during the tumble and they just flew down the stairs for everyone to see. Or hey, there was the time I was carrying a big box of takeout to my car and the wind caught my dress and blew it straight up in front of a family with two very young boys. And because my hands were full, I just couldn't stop it. Things that make you want to just disappear into the earth. Anyways, a couple of juicy highlights and then this one can be glued in the book. Well, here it is. We have captured the embarrassment of Stumps. I so hope he is alive and well and has found acceptance somewhere else in the world. I have no idea how his story began, how his tail was lost, but I do know he deserves a happy ending. All right, the next prompt was create a page of checkers. Put checkers here. I may be alone on this, but the checkered pattern automatically makes me think of one thing, and that is the checkered floors from the retro kitchens of the 50s and 60s. With that in mind, I was inspired to draw a cute little housewife pinup in the kitchen. Now, I could have just drawn a retro kitchen and the pinup, but I needed to make it
Creepy.
I got to thinking about the Cold War and the heightened paranoia in the 50s and 60s that actually encouraged many people to create their own fallout shelters in the event that nuclear catastrophe should occur. Have you seen pictures of some of these now, all abandoned? Oh my gosh, they're so creepy. So I wanted to bring that vibe into my retro kitchen drawing. First, I drew out all of those checkers and went ahead and marked all of the checkers that would be black. I don't know about you, but if I don't mark them beforehand, I always inevitably end up screwing up the pattern somewhere. Most of the dilapidated look of this fallout shelter is going to be achieved with the color portion, but for right now, I'm just kind of starting with this run-down looking mini kitchen setup in the background with that vintage fridge and a shelf with a few non-perishable canned and boxed foods. Also, this bunker, so to speak, needs one of those big industrial steel doors. Yeah. And now for a homey little touch, we've got a sweet little seating area over to the side. Now time for some solid black. Hello, checkers. Let's lay down the base colors for this page with the trusty alcohol markers. A light gray for the walls, darker grays for all those industrial metal accents. And I had to do some pops of red. Y'all know red is my favy. And when I imagine this time period, I absolutely think of that color most. The pinup thing, red lips, red dress, like it just makes sense. So I made my little housewife a brunette, but I'm sort of wishing I had done a nice black, very Dita Von Teese. But I just didn't want her hair to blend with the checkers, so I went with brown. I don't know. Maybe mistakes were made here. I was trying to decide what secondary color I wanted to use in the kitchen. I know the pale blue was very popular for the time period, but I didn't want it to be too similar to that vintage Barbie I just did, so instead I settled on a pale yellow. Besides, I thought that would look great once it was all dirty and stuff. Okay, you ready? You ready? It's time to creepify it. I'm so obsessed. I will say I love this concept, but I did feel limited with how small I had to make everything. Like, I would love to do something like this again, but on a much larger scale so I could really embrace all of the little details. Oh, and this is kind of embarrassing, but you know how I said I was so meticulous with the checkered pattern, making sure I didn't mistakenly put the colors in the wrong spots? Yeah, wish I would have been as careful with this Fallout shelter sign. Turns out I completely inverted the colors. The true sign has a yellow background, black circle, and yellow triangles. Rookie mistake. But with a few juicy highlights, and a few shadows, and of course my signature and date, this one is finished and ready to become one with the book. Love it. Just want to zhuzh up that prompt with some yellow. Okay, yep, love that. Now this one's done. Like I said, I love this concept and I'm sure I will revisit it at some point, but for now, I'm happy with it in this book. I had a lot of fun making this one. And that brings us to the last prompt of the week. Create a shared drawing. Start a drawing on this page. Have a friend finish it. I enlisted the help of a friend who could never tell me no, my husband Cody. Now, he is not artistic in the slightest, but he is such a good sport. He didn't even bat an eye when I asked him to do this with me. He is a lefty, so I'm going to leave the left side for him to complete, and I'm just going to work on the right. Now, since Cody was going into this with an obvious disadvantage, I let him choose exactly what it was that we could draw. I threw him a bone, but did he take it? Not so much. He chose to draw a bear. Bears are not easy as is, but he didn't want just any bear. Oh, no. He wanted to do a roaring bear. Props to him for being so fearless because, I was intimidated with this drawing. But, I did my best, starting with a sketch. Here I did kind of carry the sketch over to Cody's side of the page just to make sure that the other ear wouldn't meet this portion where I cut out for the prompt. It ended up right on the edge, which bothered me, so I erased the top of the head and made it a little shorter on my side so that wouldn't happen. Now remember this for later. But then I went in with some fine liner. I really only did a heavy line on the facial features, then used my micromicron to map out the bear's layers of fur. Erased my pencil lines, and then it was time for color. I started with the blacks, followed by the darkest gray to highlight those black areas. Next, I focused on the mouth with some yellowy beige for the teeth and pink for the tongue and gingiva. And then for the fur, I worked from the lightest, most highlighted hairs, progressively getting darker and darker and darker as I went. I also darkened up the pink in the mouth before whipping out the colored pencils to really punch up the colors and add some fine details. This really brought some serious depth to the bear, but oh, it was nothing compared to juicy highlight time. Well, my side is done, and I absolutely love it. Time to tag in Code Red. Now I got to witness firsthand the panic hit him once it was time to actually start. I figured the drawing portion of this was intimidating enough for him, so rather than also forcing him to record a voiceover explaining his process for this video, let's play a little music instead. I do want to point out the ear on his side and the fact that it's touching the cutout anyways. I tried, but some things just can't be avoided. So Cody did have this to say about his experience.
Well, hi, it's Code Red. Just wanted to say that I had a lot of fun trying to do this halfsy page. I did my best to try and make him look fluffy and not flat, and just tanked it with that eye pretty hard. But still had fun, even though it was really bad. But I like that it's a bear and he had teeth. So, well, thanks. Goodbye.
Aw, Cody. Well, I, for one, just love this. I'm super proud of him and what he created, especially since art is not his thing. Like, this is not bad. I mean, yeah, the head is a little deflated on this side, and the ears should have been about here. But come on, he totally nailed replicating the shading in the nose and the mouth, and he even paid attention to these lighter fur areas. And of course, he signed Code Red, which is my nickname for him. Everyone, please tell Cody thank you for helping me with this prompt. He really was such a good sport and made this so fun. Now this page just needs a background. Cody chose yellow. Love it. Glue it in the book. And that's a wrap on this grumpy bear, the offspring forged from both of our artistic talents. I had so much fun making it and even more fun seeing Cody's portion. And with that, we are done. Let's recap the week. We created a list of fads. A little trend-setting chick decked out in the current fashion fads according to Pinterest. I literally do none of these things, so I guess that means I'm not too trendy, but that's okay. She was fun to make. Get it, girl. We created Embarrassment with the saga of Stumps, my little squirrel friend who was definitely not smushed by a car, but actually chased away by little squirrel bullies who made it their mission to embarrass him. I miss him, but I hope he's out there doing happy squirrel things. We created a page of checkers with this post-apocalyptic fallout shelter where all of the sweet charm of the 50s and 60s kitchens has been completely tarnished. I love this one so much. Just wish I could have done so much more with it. I smell a future project coming on. And lastly, we created a shared drawing, splicing the drawing skills of myself and the legend Code Red to create this brainchild of a bear. Love him so much for doing this with me. There were laughs, there were tears. A great time was had by all. I love this week's prompts, especially the checkers and the shared drawing. And until next time, goodbye.